Hello and welcome back to Down the Slope. We're back after the Edinburgh Derby. Not quite the result we wanted, but we had a good day out, and we've got a full house for you tonight, guys. Joined by Ryan, Ewan, Greg, and Liam. We won't go too in depth with the how are yous because I think I'll get murdered. But Ryan, how are you doing? Most importantly,
I'm all right, mate. Thank you.
Liam, you gave me a funny look when I said Ryan's well-being was most important. How are you feeling?
Show your workings. How's Ryan more important than the rest of us?
He had the brightest smile when I started speaking, and that
Does that
gravitated me
make him
towards him.
important? Like,
Aye, of course it does. It makes me feel good.
grow up. You know,
Um,
you sure you there what a host?
Aye. Right, so on this week's Down the Slope, Harry's no longer with us. We've agreed Harry's mutual termination.
all right. Well, as you can
Harry's
tell,
a very own Philip Schofield, mutually terminated in inverted commas.
all right. Let's not throw accusations like that. Right? I promise. Jeez. All right. Let's just move on to football before I end up getting accusations thrown at me that certainly
It
are.
wasn't illegal, but he chose Ryan over the rest of us. So,
And Ryan at least is a lot older than 16. Anyway, moving on.
Can I just say, if you have to put anything in a statement that says nothing illegal occurred, but probably means that something illegal maybe did occur. Anyway, let's move on.
Yeah, not ideal. We're getting very political and topical straight off the bat. We love to see it. But guys, before we get into questions and stuff, I think I'll always like to look back on the day when we have Edinburgh Derby days. We were all at the pub beforehand. Sun was shining. It was just a good day. Ewan, I think you were the most party going of us all in terms of having drinks. How was your whole Saturday?
no, it was good, mate. It was good. I think that little period in the middle after the game, when we started losing numbers, it definitely had a little bit of a lull. But then a few of us soldiered on. We were joined by a few later on. No, it was a really good day. Obviously it could have been a hell of a lot better, but no, really top.
Nice. And Liam, one thing that I thought was pretty cool, the likes of Ben Kensell, Ian Gordon, Brian McDermott coming to the pub. Did you manage to get a chat with them? Do you think that was a nice thing from them to do?
I chatted to Ben, if I remember rightly, but only very briefly. I just basically, he came over and I started badgering him straight away about what we're doing about the players for next season. There was no niceties, there was no how are you. It was just so what's happening with the loan signings, we keeping them or what? He was pretty candid, pretty honest and open with his answers, which is fair play, good of him to do. I thought, Harry, you work in PR. I thought being pictured in the walk up to the stadium was a PR masterstroke. To be honest, I think that was well advised. So, look, I think it helps to come and connect and engage with fans. And actually, in the Roseburn, you'll probably meet different fans before a derby than you would meet maybe in the likes of the Albion Bar or the Edinburgh Suite or one of the other paid for lounges at the club. So, no, good on them.
Absolutely. And then yourself, Greg, atmosphere at the game, although we didn't get the result we wanted, good sing song.
Yeah, I felt like it was maybe a bit flat after Hearts scored, but it soon picked up. But no, it was a good atmosphere. It was.
And then Ryan, just to round us off before we start getting a bit more into the actual crux of the game, just good day for yourself on Saturday.
I know it was a good day. These days are always good, spending it with a group of mates, and you always end up meeting people that come over and speak to you and whatnot. I think I just ended up sitting down and staring everybody out because I'm not much of a conversationalist and I have nothing to speak about. So
I don't understand how Ryan does. Like when we go out, it's very quiet. Except when we're in the car doing from games, it's just constant, man. By the way, without Ryan, my day wouldn't have been anywhere near as good. He was here at 7:30 sharp up in sunny old Alloa, which I believe is about 40 minutes from where he set off. So must have been a very early start for him, and it made my day anyway. So
appreciated, brother. I was going to slag you off there, but nah, stuff that'll do it anyway. I was going to say you do go quiet when you've got you and 5 pints deep slavering in your lug, but there we are.
Oh God.
At 9:30 then.
And then one other thing I wanted to touch on, just before we cracked on with the derby itself and getting into the listener questions. Player of the Year awards last night. Joe Newell swept in terms of Player of the Year and Player of the Year. I think personally, I think it was a coin flip in the end between him and Hanlon in my decision. I ended up voting Hanlon myself, but I don't have any. I would have liked to see one of them win one and then one of them win the other, but obviously that's not how it works. But all happy with Joe Newell picking it up. Any particular comments?
Happy with Newell getting it, but what was the word that you used to describe there? What he did?
I can't even remember, mate.
Swept.
Like he got the, what do you call it?
Did he help out the morning after the tidy up operation or something?
Like there was 2 awards that you could possibly win. Like he swept them both up. Not is that not a fair assessment?
I think that's a wee bit like your what was the one you came up with last week that I heard? Nailing myself to the mast.
No, that was a misspeak. That
nailing yourself to the mast sounds a wee bit biblical to me, like nailing yourself to the mast. But there you go.
There we go. Liam's throwing hands tonight, guys. I'm just trying to have a good time.
It's open fire, like open fire.
Never an end the season, get together. And Liam's like, no, this is not happening.
But Greg, we had a lovely lunch out yesterday, and you had to educate Bex on the wonderful work of Joe Newell. Do you want to educate the listeners as well on how good a season he's had?
Well, for $5.99 you can get my PowerPoint presentation, which is why Joe Newell is the greatest player to ever play the game. He's head and shoulders above anyone in that team in terms of ability, I would say. Just so good. Harry hated him for months, years. In fact, I'm glad we finally show them what a football player looks like. And not Alex Gogic, because he's not a football player. So I'm glad you've nailed yourself the mast on that one, as you would say, Harry.
Guys, I'm getting cooked. Jeez. And then Ryan, we'll come to you because you're the only one that's not abused me so far. Ewan's joining in with a laugh, and that's why I'm saying he's abusing me. But Ryan, Josh Campbell, Young Player of the Year, is that not really a question there? He's had a good breakout season.
Yeah, I don't think we could have seen that award go anywhere else unless Fish had started the season as a starter. Josh Campbell had a fantastic start, first half of the season. You could say 3/4 of the season. He's kind of tailed off there the last 6 weeks or so. But I mean, I think Greg made a comment to me on Saturday about a young player. He says, you'll not be at it all the time. They can't be at it all the time. So I suppose that kind of applies to Josh Campbell as well. That consistency will come with maturity. He's shown great maturity in his game this season already, but yeah, I think he deserved the award. By the way, Harry, stop using Americanisms to describe things that happen in football. It's not a breakout season, right? It's his freshman year, man. No, but he played last season. It's not a breakout season.
Guys, if I had any form of editing skills, this is where you'd see on the screen at the bottom. Here's the anti-bullying helpline, and if you want to call that and direct them towards me, it'd be much appreciated tonight, because I don't know what I've done to offend these guys.
Here's Randall Roethlisberger, the tight end for the Arizona Diamondheads, having a breakout season.
I just think I'm using the wrong terms here. I just live in a different world, apparently.
We are using the wrong terms, mate. You're right.
Well, at least I'm using the correct attitude, Mr. Stinky Attitude. Good golly gosh.
I agree with Harry. I think this season has been okay, he got into the team last year, but this season has definitely been Campbell's break for the season. We all said at the start of the season that he was a candidate to leave the club, and if he wasn't on such a long deal, he'd be away. So I think Josh Campbell has fully broke into the first team squad this season. There you go, Specs.
Yes, I've got someone's defending me. It's an
you say break
moment,
out and you say break through. How about the pair of you just grow up?
All right, guys, don't worry. Off camera, I'm working on Greg's attitude. We'll get it there eventually, guys.
So much happier on Saturday.
Honestly, I mean, I had Ryan in one ear and you in the other. Having absolute heart attacks that somebody fucking as soon as hearts come over the halfway line. Oh my god! Like, behave yourself. Ryan was the worst, to be honest. Ryan was the worst, to be honest.
There was absolutely.
He was really bad.
There was absolutely a.
Stick up for me here. Am I not like that every week?
All right, boys. I think we're descending a bit into chaos. So what we're going to do is we're going to get to my favourite part of the show, and we're going to get straight into the listener questions. So first up, one of our favourites, Jack Kell. He's sent in a couple, so I'm going to go through them. We'll answer both parts of the question separately. But his first point was, thought Del Ferrier, apologies for pronouncing that wrong. Del Ferrier was great when he came on and will be key next season for rotation. With Melkson and Kenna back from loan, I think we're a top goal scorer and some strengthening away from third. Want to see the loan market bring us. Want to see what the loan market will bring us. That will be key. And then his question there, so that was his statement. His question, first one was, what did you think of Del Ferrier's cameo? I don't know how to say the name. Right? Liam, you've given me a funny look because I pronounced it wrong. What did you think of him when he came on?
I don't actually think I was giving you a funny look there, but on this occasion, he was all right. He did okay. I don't think he really stood out massively, to be honest. When he came on, he looked to try and get on the ball as much as he could, but I probably wasn't really the game for a player with his battling qualities, to be honest, because we were dominating the ball by that stage in the game. So difficult to judge really on a very short cameo.
Yeah, I know we were speaking in the pub. I don't know if you remember that opinion. But, you were saying you weren't too convinced after he came on.
Nah, he was there. Incredibly safe. I think there's obviously a want for him and other players at the club to do well, all players, but definitely we've sort of wanted to see him play more. I do agree with Liam that in that situation, he's naturally a sort of defensive-minded player, so trying to play him in that sort of final third, which is where he spent the majority of his time, he's probably not going to thrive. But I thought when we sort of lost Chris, was it Cadden he came on for?
Yeah, correct.
I think we lost a lot of momentum in the game at that point. The right-hand side sort of became irrelevant, really. It was fine. I'm not going to sit here and say it was bad, but absolutely outstanding. Nah, not for me.
Fair enough. One thing I was happy with is he's a defensive midfielder, and I thought he'd done the very basics of the game correctly, and that's something I've been asking for months. But you can take that comment how you will. And then the second part, unless Greg or Ryan, if you want to jump back after I finish this question, please feel free to if you've got anything to add in on Alan. But Jack Kell also asked, so everybody get their phones ready. He said, all of you put your playlist on shuffle and show the first song that comes up. And he also said, which is a very kind thing to say, he said, been great listening all season long, may it continue, GGTTH. So guys, get the latest playlist you've been on, hit shuffle and see what happens. We don't have to play the song because I don't know about copyright rules in terms of podcasts, but let us know what the song is that comes up.
Love the Way You Lie, Eminem and Rihanna.
Don't mind it.
Location by Dave, which also happens to be the song that my daughter was born to, which is quite an unusual one.
Okay, that's adorable. Greg, what you got? I'm assuming it's Drake. I'm going to guess.
No, it's not.
Care.
So
no? Okay.
Just Camden Harry. It's actually Desire by D Block Europe.
Don't know. I've had an absolute mare here, Ryan. I'll let you go first because I'm going to get bullied for this one as well.
The Sam song by Aero.
Only you, Ryan.
God, good Ryan. I got Ryan. You Belong With Me by Taylor Swift. Moving swiftly on.
Right. Annie, where have you wrote these questions tonight?
God. Moving on. There's a couple of statements that aren't necessarily questions.
Harry, I have to say, I was nervous there when I hit shuffle because I have got some questionable songs in this playlist. The fact it landed on Eminem, I was like, I'm safe.
I can vouch for that because he played it in the car on the way down on Saturday. So there's a couple of questionable songs in there. Like,
oh no, I don't actually think that's the worst, but I don't mind being emasculated, as we've seen already so far in the podcast. But Susan said, think we did more than enough to win yesterday. Can't fault the boys' effort. Hit post and bar. Unfortunately, a few good saves from the keeper. Ollie Wright said, we win that game if Boyle was fit and playing, no doubt. Just try to read a few questions, a few statements. And then Bobby Robertson said, Hibs are the only team I know that can't punish teams when they are a man down, especially in derbies. If the show was on the other foot, Hearts would have won 3 or 4-1. Hibs need a clear out, too many nicey players in the team with a lack of ruthlessness and conviction.
Can I just come on to that last question?
Go for it.
With all due respect, that's absolute nonsense.
Yes, that's like we've got most points this season.
If anyone's ever played the game at any level, playing against 10 men is not easy. Especially when it's a home team that have 10 men.
Did we not just play Celtic during the week when they had 10 men?
I know, but like it's totally different. But genuinely, you can it is totally different. It's a derby, like it is genuinely totally different. The reason we didn't win is because we didn't show enough ability in the final third. We just kept launching balls up front, not good enough. But I don't think it's a pretty sweeping statement, to be honest, saying that Hearts would have won 3 or 4-1 if we had 10 men. I think he's absolutely made that up. I don't know what that's based on, but I think that's really just incorrect, to say the least.
That's perhaps the one part of that statement that I don't necessarily agree with, but I can see where he's coming from. It does feel across the years that they certainly punish us when we're at our lower ebbs, maybe more than what we do with them. Think back to the Jack Ross derby at Tynecastle. I think if we wanted to, we definitely could have taken a lot more off them that day, but we made the decision to sort of be professional in the second half. You know, look at the next derby that season, right before COVID hit. Obviously, they came to Easter Road at a really low ebb, and still they did win. Like, so had the shoe been on the other foot, we're never going to know. But I can sort of see the train of thought there. But no, I think the one thing Hibs have been good at this season is actually beating teams with 10 men. I think we've laughed and joked about that enough, and I think Saturday maybe does leave a little bit of sour taste in the mouth about it, but I think in general we put teams away well, as seen even against Celtic in the game previous.
And then on the other couple of comments, do you think Martin Boyle makes a difference? Is that the kind of clinical nature we needed in the final third that could have potentially shown through in that game?
I think wide players always make a difference in that scenario, to be honest. It's kind of tagging on to what Ewan was saying earlier there about you do need width when you're playing against 10 men. You need, and you also need the ability to play at a reasonably high tempo as well. And a winger who's direct can help you do that. Unfortunately, we didn't have players coming off the bench who could make that kind of impact in wide areas in particular. But also, really, if you're being honest, they couldn't really make that impact centrally either. And that was ultimately kind of the difference, I think.
Aye, and Ryan, just touching on the first part of the statements I said there, in terms of the effort from the players, I think leaving the stadium, being honest, I was pretty annoyed. I was pretty livid. It just, I think heat of the moment, you always feel a bit more stressed, and then looking back in hindsight, I'm not saying we performed as well as we should have, but there was a couple really good saves from Xander Clark. We did hit the post, really unlucky. I mean, Miller, he done well to create the space, but he needs to put that on target in the first half. Do you think the effort was there from the players, but it was just trying to get the ball over the line in the end, just didn't go for us?
I think there's no doubt there was effort. On the other hand, what we lacked was quality. And as Greg touched on there, especially in the final third, we had more than our fair share of chances to put them to bed, realistically. Miller should be scoring there. McCurdy had 3 attempts at goal, not one of them hit the target. His last one in the dying embers was pretty disappointing, considering he maybe had somebody in a better position. Xander Clark saved a header from close range, and Will Fish hit the post. So on another day, you know, less cuts and maybes. But I think effort was definitely there, but quality. And then, you know, for the last half an hour or so, there was absolutely zero game plan. I think Greg said earlier, we were just lumping the ball along. And that's what the Hearts defenders wanted us to do. They lapped it up. I mean, we brought on Devlin to win headers up front. I don't think he won a single header.
It's difficult, like when the options aren't there. And I agree. I think, Harry, you've said it quite a lot. I thought we were really good for that 15 minutes before half time, and I think would have been more than good value to be ahead at half time. But leaving the game, I sort of felt the same way maybe as what that question was asked, like that we didn't do enough. I think on reflection, we probably did do just about enough, that if we'd won the game, you would have said aye, with the chances that yourself and Ryan have mentioned there. But just the lack of options on the bench, you know, not being able to turn it like a Kukurevich, it did just kill us that little bit on Saturday. Not too dissimilar for Aberdeen, really. Like we didn't perform as well as POTY, but just couldn't put the ball in the back of the net, which, yeah, sucks, to be honest.
It's the end goal at the end of the day. It's one of those frustrating things for the whole season, no matter how well we've played or how much we've attacked. It's, if you don't have the goals to back it up, then what's the point in doing it? But a few other comments. JPJ White said it was the lack of mental toughness and experience that cost us. They didn't stick to plan as they started to run out of times. Good teams keep doing the right thing up to the last minute. Man on the Spot said, when the sub gets subbed and you throw on a centre defender up front, it's desperate stuff. Yeah, it was desperate stuff before that too. let's not let the goal gloss over another piss poor performance when there was something on a game, a Hibs habit in meaningful games. Do you feel that it is piss poor and it's something that we've kind of let everybody down, or do you think it's just one of those games? Personally, I am frustrated. I did go into the game saying I thought it was a massive game, and I stick by that. But as I say, at the time leaving the stadium, if you'd spoke to me, you would have spoke to a very angry Hibs fan. But now in hindsight, since I've had time to actually cool down and not really let the emotions kind of ride over my opinions, I think the performance was there. And as I say, I think the lack of clinical edge is something that's kind of been against us a few times this season. I think it's cropped up once again. Any differing opinions to that, or are we in the same boat there?
I think it's an overreaction. With the point, like I do personally, I really do. We've not showed up in big games, but we've taken 8 points in the split. I would say that's more than reasonable, especially with the performances. Sort of POTY, we beat Hearts right before the split. Like I think in the last sort of, what would that be, 7 games this season across the board, generally we've performed all right. So we left ourselves with far too much to do, mate. It wasn't. We would have finished 4th yesterday had we won countless other games that we should have won. You know what I mean?
I would have finished 3rd if we'd got bloody 9 points out of 9 against the team that finished bottom, eh? Brutal. But we've got a couple of things that will make us smile. We'll get the mood up here a bit. So Parmaham said, let it go. The poor sods blew 3rd and have ended the season looking ridiculous, given all the chat about splitting the old firm and claiming 3rd was in the bag at Christmas. Let's hark back to my favourite character of the season, who said that Robbie Neilson was going to bring back the Scottish Premier League to Tynecastle. What an idiot. But thank you for that, Parmahan. And then I think probably the highlight of the match, that I'd already left the stadium to miss it, but Big Stu said Rocky, Egan Riley and Jimmy Jeggle were getting stuck in during full whistle shenanigans. Does this get them an automatic start against them next season, assuming they're all here? I only seen it on Sky Sports Scotland, but I thoroughly enjoy that. I hate it when commentators are like, oh, this is what you don't want. This is exactly what we want to see at the football. Ryan, how happy does it make you? I think CJ Egan Riley's face just made me determined. I was proper up for anything after that.
That's absolutely what I go to the football for. And I think that was probably the most excited myself and Greg got in the game. We were just, I don't know why, but we were both going, go on Hibs, go on Hibs, as if they were doing something like that was valuable to us, man. And then, like, if I heard Egan Riley's name once come out of Greg's mouth, I must have heard it 1,000 times after that. He was just like, oh, Egan Riley, man, Egan Riley. But no, I'm absolutely there for that kind of thing, like.
Boy was looking dapper in his top hat yesterday as well, Greg.
Looked like Biggie Smalls, with the cane and that.
Talk to me about that post-match scrum, Greg. If Down the Slope had a post-match scrum on the pitch, I'd be backing you to do us a solid. So how happy did it make you seeing them out there?
Obviously, it's good to see, but it's just handbags, really, isn't it? I mean, a lot's been made of Lee Johnson lashing out, shall we say, but doesn't really connect or hit him with any force. But it's good to see. I don't know how it all started or if it was because of the managers, but obviously Civic was getting a bit Leeds United and shouting at the Hibs fans, so maybe it was something to do with that. But listen, it just shows a bit of passion, a bit of pride, which I don't mind, especially in games like that. You need to have a bit of bite about you. So I guess the old adage is that Egan Riley just gets it.
Rocky, man. Rocky and all.
Rocky. Just brushing Naismith off for like his pinky or something. I don't know. But
Naismith's fans for all 2 seconds until Rocky sent him flying with his pinky.
I reckon he's still ricocheting after that, by the way. Absolutely got blown at the next century. But Scott Craig, looking back on the full season, said, not an awful position given the squad isn't good overall. The makings of a good team in there with some solid additions. Something to build on, but next year we need to be challenging for 3rd. No excuses. That a pretty fair statement, Liam?
It's fair, but do we not say that every single summer?
Yeah, not true. True.
Do we need to make some good additions? Other than the post-COVID season summer where we just needed to make a few additions and we failed to do it, I feel like that has been a constant in my time supporting Hibs, that we need to make good acquisitions in the summer to challenge. But talk is cheap. Like there needs to be a far more efficient and a far more strategically planned this window, than a scattergun window of just signing players who might be able to do a turn for us. And as we've spoken about before, there needs to be a huge clear out. I think the clear out's bigger than the bodies you bring in, to be honest, because I think the clear out helps us to get rid of some essentially kind of deadwood squad filler type players who aren't impacting the first team, and it probably helps us to get rid of 2 or 3 characters who are not really helping the environment.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Graham Whiteman, in terms of adding we're not going to go too in depth into transfer stuff and look at the squad, just because we're going to have an in-depth episode kind of talking about who we'd potentially think we'll see move on and who we'd like to bring in potentially. But Graham Whiteman added quality, not quantity. That's the future. I think for most clubs that's always going to be the ideal aim, but I think our squad isn't too far off being pretty good if you had the right.
Not Chelsea Football Club.
Let's not get them involved. Oh, Jesus. Oh.
I think you're right though, Harry. Like, I do think if you could keep a couple of loan players and then maybe 3 or 4 on top of that you would view as genuine starting quality, then you can probably build for there again. You've seen the effectiveness of January when we only brought in 4 that were capable of stepping in. So the blueprint's there,
Yeah. And then I'll read a couple more. William Todd said, squad not good enough. The bench has to offer more. Mark McWilliams said, I always try to avoid being too negative, but this is Mark's statement, not us. He said, hopefully never see McCurdy, Henderson, Chabraya in a Hibs jersey again. Clear out needed. Include McGuinness and McGeady in the clear out. And then Todd Mason on the flip side said, despite some bad runs and long-term injuries to key players, could easily have finished third with a bit of luck against the sheep and the Jambos. Some dodgy VAR decisions over the season cost us as well. I reckon if you ask a fan of any football club, they'd probably say their team's the most hard done by in terms of VAR. But I genuinely think Hibs might have been the most screwed over when you look back at some of the decisions that have went against us. And any thoughts on that, or am I just kind of clutching at straws there?
It certainly feels.
Let's not start blaming stuff when we're not been good enough at points throughout the season.
Yeah.
I mean, it certainly feels that way though, Harry. But most fans probably feel like that.
Yeah, exactly.
I focus on Hibs. You know what I mean? Like that's the thing. Like
the ones, I think it's the VAR being introduced. What was it, like half or a third of the way through the season? I don't think it's helped either, because we've got some wrongs against us pre-VAR being introduced, and then there's stuff that's been introduced post-VAR that's been wrong. But we've had far too many lulls in the season where VAR has not been to blame for me to point to that being the reason that we've underachieved.
To the point though, like I think there was a question a couple ago. We did compete for third this year. We just ultimately came up short. Like that. Like at point, like I think walking out of Livingston, it felt like we had a real good goal, a real good chance of it. But then we fell flat on our face for 4 games after that. Like we were never. I don't think we were ever in a position. I think maybe early in the season we might have been in that sort of third or top position early on, but we were always just maybe that one step behind. We were just always a little bit too much on the outside looking in, but you could argue you were a penalty kick away from 4th, and then like you would have ended up maybe on a couple of points behind Aberdeen. I don't think we're that far away. You look at the start of the season. I don't think you should forget that Aberdeen spent millions last summer. They paid big fees for Duke, Miovski, Ramadani. Hearts were supposed to be strengthening from a hugely more advantageous starting point last year as well. Like, not to go too happy clapper, people go, we're only where we are because they were struggling. Well, the reality of it is Hibs, Hearts and Aberdeen will all have patches in every season where they struggle. We don't have the financial gap isn't there between us and the rest that it is with Old Firm and the rest. It's never going to be that way. And if a team does put it together, like Hibs did in COVID or like Hearts did last year, then they will cruise to third place. But I would say that they are more abnormalities. I'd say that Hibs, Aberdeen and Hearts are going to struggle throughout the year. And it's just that little bit more consistency. We've shown we can compete against the teams at the top end of the league, against Hearts and Aberdeen. I think we come out sort of on par, if not positive in point differential there. And it's just taking care of the teams at the bottom of the league. That'll be where That's all we need to do to finish third, really, is take you to the games that you should win. We've seen this year we can compete. We need to go and do it.
Fair enough, I agree. Because even if you look back at the season we did finish third, like the reason we finished third in my opinion is because we consistently beat the teams that were in kind of that bottom four area. No, we had that one period over New Year that we struggled a bit, but apart from that, we were really consistent against the kind of, I'd say, bottom five in the league. So yeah, no, I think it is a good point. A couple more points, kind of looking at the season and then looking at the future a bit. Finlay said, still feel gutted, really should have won, very wasteful with most of our attacking play. Although I think with a decent clear out and sending a good few quality players, we could really push for third next season. Aaron B said, we might not be able to cover ourselves in glory after the weekend, but hey ho, look at the bright side. Boyle and Duran next season, major threat. We still got a chance at Europe. We beat Celtic and Hearts in the first time for a while. Recruitment should be an improvement from last time. Kind of looking to the future, are you guys a bit more confident after the split? I think going into the split, we said our ceiling's likely going to be about 8 points. And I think realistically, I think if we'd come away with 12 points, I don't think any of the teams that we'd played against could have complained if we'd beat them. Like, I know the Rangers game was a pretty poor performance, but Hearts and Aberdeen, where we dropped points, I actually thought we were really good. How's the thoughts going into next season? Greg, we'll come at you first there.
I think there's almost a cautious optimism. We've performed well sort of a couple of games before the split and then during the split to give us almost a level of looking forward to seeing what happens. We do need to get rid of some players though. Up probably north of 10 players need to go and replaced with real quality. But I think you need to trust that Brian McDermott is the man to bring quality in with his connections in the network that he's amassed and his time in the game. So I think there is a level of cautious optimism. But obviously, we need results early on the start of the season, next season, or things might turn.
Yeah. Ryan, I'll let you add in at the current moment. Are you feeling a bit more optimistic than you maybe would have a few weeks ago?
Yeah, I would say that I was quite happy with the way the split went. I'd be interested going into next season now that there's a good footballing structure in place, or I'd like to think there's a good footballing structure in place with Brian McDermott there. Lee Johnson's got a year under his belt at Hibs, so he's maybe got a bit more knowledge of what kind of player to attract or to target. Along with, as Greg says, the contact that McDermott has, it'd be interesting to see what kind of squad we can build going into next season off the back of a 5th place, hopefully European place finish.
And then just to keep us progressing through, Neil Henderson said, if people agree that Lee Johnson needs a decent amount of time to establish the team, then integration of youth with quality first team ready signings is needed. I'm hopeful new director of football being Brian McDermott influences this. These players need to be robust, clues to who I'd let go. Not really sure off the top of my head. But yeah, no, I think that's a fair assessment. As much as I've wavered on Lee Johnson, I think the fact that this is the first time that a manager started and finished the season for the first time since goodness knows when, since Jack Ross in the COVID year, and before that, when was the last time?
The last time that we seen a manager see a full like in person was Lennon in the first year back up.
Like that's but like there's a reason why we've been so inconsistent, and I'm not saying it's that, but I wouldn't be surprised if that was a massive contributing factor. I think continuity is a huge thing, so hopefully, even though we've had our doubts at Lee Johnson, I know that some people have probably still got the jury out for him. I think it is good that we've at least had someone that stays for a full calendar year at least. So that's something.
Lee Johnson now has more experience in managing in Scotland than Aberdeen and likely Hearts manager. I think that will stand them in good stead. I have to be honest, I'm really not convinced with Barry Robson at Aberdeen. He's a rookie manager going into a season where he's going to have at least 50 games. So he's never been a manager for any length of time. The arse sort of fell out of them a little bit as soon as he lost 3 or 4 players. You know, they struggled against us. They lost to Ibrox, they lost to Tynecastle. They got a couple of players back on the last couple of games, and obviously they sealed it against St Mirren. But it'll be a big ask for him to be able to even show that he can manage a squad that's capable of playing 50 games, because it looks like they're going to have European football. So there's 10 games there, because they'll have the qualifier and then the group stages, 38 league games and at least 2 cup games. So then Naismith said after the game he's proved that he can do it. He beat St Mirren, he beat Ross County and Aberdeen at home. Genuinely, I would say that managerial wise, Hibs are in the best position of the three, regardless of what everyone's individual thoughts are on Johnson. That's my opinion on it. I don't know.
Liam, I'm not came to you
in terms of experience, but I don't. You're asking me to comment on something I haven't watched Barry Robson or Stephen Naismith in their coaching career up to this point and what they've done up until now. But certainly in terms of experience, Lee Johnson's got the edge. I would imagine Brian McDermott's probably got the edge in terms of that director of football position as well, compared to his counterparts at those two clubs that you've mentioned, just based on his experience in the game. But look, experience is important, but it's not everything. I think that's a thing that we're maybe getting a bit too hung up on. Hopefully, Lee Johnson's learned a lot from this year about the Scottish game and what it takes to be successful. I'm sure that he's learned a lot about squad management, and I hope people at the club have learned a lot about it as well. But I don't know. I think experience is important, but it's not the only factor.
Yeah, fair. And then in terms of the final listener question / statement, you guys know who it's coming from, John McIntosh. And his first question was, what's been the best pie of the year? I'll caveat that and change it slightly. So what's been the best food of the year? And justice for our boy, Fatus Prickus, bring back peri peri chips to Easter Road. Come on, Ben, whoever else for the club could potentially hear this. We want peri peri chips at Easter Road. In terms of pies, but it's Motherwell away, January. I actually had a really good pie there, to be fair. It was just your proper Scotch pie, but I really enjoyed that one.
Mate, I don't know if I was just steaming by the pie at the weekend, or it was absolutely unbelievable.
So it was pretty stinking. So it must have been.
Was that at the game, or was that one of the many scans you had after the game?
Mate, I'd one before the game and one at half time.
Oh, goodness. Liam, Ryan, pies or food?
Ross County away, I think it was black pudding and haggis. It was quite nice. It was like a cold, wet day as well, so it just hit the spot. Like, lovely pie.
I had a steak and black pudding, I think it was, at Ross County at St Johnstone. Only a month or so ago. It was very, very good. Very, very good.
Good. I've never had good scran at St Johnstone. I've been there a few times. Interesting.
It was the special that day. It was either steak and haggis or steak and black pudding. I can't remember which, but it was good.
Last year, which I think was pretty good as well. It was Therese one, San. It was good.
Greg,
yourself?
Boy, the bacon and sausage roll that I had on Saturday morning. Me and Lee snuck off for 5 minutes to line the stomach, and that was unbelievable, to be honest.
Greg's an athlete.
Absolutely incredible. Don't do pies, mate.
Don't do pies. Don't do
only
pies
sausage rolls.
Aye, but John, as always, mate, get in touch. Let us know what your best pie was of the season. You must have one in your head if you're messaging us that. And then he didn't actually ask us for dinner, guys. So I'm afraid not answering that today. But he did say, going through the starting 11 and players that came on yesterday, who's not going to be here next year. Do we leave that one for the next episode, do you reckon? Aye, yeah, John. Oh, see, John, we'll give you a wee cliffhanger there. You come back next episode, you'll hear us break that down. No bother, son. But since John didn't ask, I'll ask, guys. What do we have for dinner? Ryan, I'll come to you first, mate. What's on the agenda for the night?
So Nicola's not long home from work, so I've not had it yet. But I'm making a spinach and mozzarella gnocchi. Oh yeah, gnocchi's lovely for anybody that's not tried it. It's like a potato-filled pasta. Don't knock it till you try it.
Just to confirm, Ryan has been banging on to us about gnocchi here and there sporadically for the last couple of weeks. I think it's his new thing, so I'm glad you're having some tonight. But good choice of food to go. Was it spinach and mozzarella?
Yeah. Aye, man, it's great. Try it.
Solid. I approve. Greg, come to you next. Are you on the cooking or is it Elaine's go?
No, it was Elaine. It was macaroni Monday night. So good.
Beautiful.
Sensational. And Ewan, we're coming to you next.
Oh mate, I had a howler night. I totally forgot we were recording this. I got Lauren and I sent it, so I brought stuff back for work and sent Lauren out to go get loads of barbecue gear. Then I got home and I was like, fuck, I've not got time to turn that on and get it going. So I'm just having to throw a couple of burgers in the oven like after this. I've had an absolute howler. I totally forgot this was happening tonight. I'm on summer mode, mate, and that's what it is. I'm ready to go.
It's only every Monday that we record.
I know, mate. Like. For the last 2.5 years, but
I'm not feeling sorry for you. I'm feeling sorry for her. She's pure buzzing for a barbecue, and you've booked her. That's shocking behaviour.
I clicked halfway up the road and I didn't even tell her. I waited till I came in before I get
disaster. Liam, our cuisine expert.
Correct.
Just a bowl of paella, which I quite enjoyed. Chicken, prawns, chorizo.
Not bad.
I very much enjoyed it. Feels like good summer food.
Anything with what you got, prawns and chorizo, and it's one for me. Like that's banging paella.
It's a winner.
And boys, I've been eating healthy of late, but it's been payday, so I thought I'd go for a cheeky wee treat. Got myself a Chinese. Got about everything on the menu. Good solid mix of stuff in there. So yeah, it was
good lad. Treat yourself, eh? Treat yourself, man.
That's blasphemy, Liam, man. Takeaways.
Nah, I get takeaways all the time. I was in Indian last night. I just didn't eat Chinese food. Chinese food's for fucking idiots.
What dish did you get, Liam? Are you like a spicy curry boy?
What did I have last night? I had a chicken sag last night, some mushroom puree, vegetable and saffron rice, and a garlic naan.
That's an order right there, by the way.
I'll take it.
That sounds incredible, to be honest.
I'll take it.
It was fucking incredible. It was fucking incredible.
I enjoy it.
I made that up.
I've stained all the work surfaces with the kind of turmeric that goes in.
Disaster, nice. Disaster.
India, like, can we just have it right? Because I have this conversation with Lauren all the time. She's a Chinese. Indian is so much better than Chinese.
It's street's
head. It's class.
Street's head.
I think Greg agrees for the look of that.
No, I wouldn't agree. I think Chinese better than Indian.
Majority rules, 3-2. I'll grow up, Ryan.
What'd you get? Maybe that shit. So what'd you get?
It was I just got a bunch. I got like it was roasted duck, chow mein, chips and curry sauce, a couple chicken balls and batter, just because good scran involved. Then sweet and sour shredded chili chicken.
Sounds decent.
To be fair,
I didn't have it all alone. I was sharing dinner tonight. Just to
you didn't have all that.
I wasn't eating 4 mains on one. To be fair, me and Greg yesterday about bloody 10 cows worth of steak. It was class.
You know what? Genuinely, it was incredible. I even woke up and I didn't have my porridge till like back at 10 this morning.
Greg's gone vegan today.
No, genuinely. What time did we leave? We finished eating, Harry, about 2:45. I didn't eat again until 10 o'clock this morning. That was how much we ate.
Aye. And I'm
ever tried to eat and drink and go to Fazenda? Have you ever tried to enjoy the meat and have a baby at the same time? Oh, it's hard going. Like,
do that.
Meat sweats, you're sitting there with a pint or a glass of wine or something. Oh, it's bad.
Last time I was in Fazenda, I was with Harry and Greg and a few others, and I was hanging out my arsehole. It was the day after the St Johnstone Cup final. Oh, it was absolutely brutal.
Not ideal, but I would definitely recommend Fazenda's. That's us complimented you, Fazenda. If you're listening and you want to sponsor the podcast, give us a wee shout. But guys, in terms of any Hibs related chat, even though we've just chatted about food for the last 5 minutes, that's all we've got to talk about. And realistically, I think we've got one more planned episode, maybe 2 on the horizon. We're definitely going to do our very early transfer window breakdown of what our expectations are, potential outgoings from the club, and then maybe suggesting a few players we want to come in. Obviously, that is fully trying to get the rumour mill spinning. So we'll definitely put out on socials if you want to get any questions in or get your rumours in or who you'd want us to go for. And then we're potentially looking at doing a full season review as we kind of just focused on the Hearts game tonight. But definitely one more episode, potentially 2. But guys, it's been a good season. 2 more episodes, then we're going to probably take a wee break, maybe 4 weeks or so. But if anything big happens, of course, we'll be back on. But guys, thanks so much for listening. I know everybody full house for the first time. What feels like ages. Aye, it's the end of the show. Nobody's listening at this point.
Nobody cares, mate. Nobody cares.
And then in terms of, I reckon second for second, in terms of getting abuse, this has probably been the worst pod for me in the history.
Harry, I have not abused you. I haven't abused you. So me and your pals. Switzerland, actually. Switzerland.
Destroy it, Ryan.
That's Ryan finished his initial loan, and now he's in his to buy part of his contract. So he'll come out all guns firing next season.
Who says we're exercising the option? Like, fucking, I didn't even recall that conversation.
It's an obligation to buy. I'll screenshot that whole fucking chat, like.
that joke when folks say, "Oh, what does he have screenshots of the manager? Is that why he's still getting a game?" You'll see that next year.
Right, that's your left to the football. Fucked.
Well, everyone, thank you for listening, and we'll catch you next time.
Cheers. Bye. Bye.